Hi guys, so I reached 15 subs recently, so my sub goal for this achievement was to do a video on improvement, which a few of my subs wanted. So there's a couple of topics I'm going to be going over. The first of which is going to be your attitude towards improvement. So a lot of the time people are very results based when I talk to them about their goals or what they want to do this week. So some people are like, oh yeah, I want to beat this person, or I want to take this many stocks versus this person. And I think that's it's kind of a recipe for disaster, honestly. I feel because for one, it's a very big goal to achieve in a short amount of time. Going from losing to someone to beating someone is a lot of things you need to work on, and also they're working on their stuff as well, so they're also improving. So it's very hard to achieve those things. Whereas if you just look at more micro situations, look at specific things, specific situations, then it's easier to judge when you've improved. It's much easier to go okay, last week I was getting hit by this, but this week, I'm not getting hit by it, or I found a counter to it. So I think that it's easier to judge your improvement with that. And that links into a lot of the time people get a bit upset when they don't see themselves improving, or they get a bit down, might post a salty tweet or something. And it's because you're having too big goals for yourself. Just work on the little things, and when you work on enough little things, it makes a huge difference, honestly. The more you work on those little things, the more you see how much it actually affects gameplay. Melee is ultimately just a lot of micro situations that you need to know. And also people sometimes feel a bit overwhelmed when they watch their own matches and stuff, or they see someone better than them and they're like, oh my god, this guy knows so much, he's so much better than me. And like I say, if you just break it down into little steps, then it makes it a lot easier to improve and see how you're getting on. So the next part will be about improving on your own. So there's a couple of things you can do. First of all, I'd say doing VOD analysis is really important, and enough people don't do it. So you've got two types of VOD analysis. You've got watching the top players, seeing what they do, grabbing ideas from them. And then there's also watching your own matches. And you need to do both. Because if you watch your own matches, you find out what you're doing bad and what's missing from your game. But if you watch top players, you can also find new stuff and see what's missing from your game as well. So you need a bit of both, ideally. And I think that's the best way to improve. Especially if you link the two together, you find something that they do and then you see where you can put it into your matches, or you see something you don't know how to deal with in your matches and then you watch top player and they know how to deal with it. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can learn from doing lots of VOD analysis. And when you do it also, I'd see a lot of people use stuff like flow feedback, and flow feedback's great. You can write down a lot of stuff and multiple people can add to it. But I think one of the problems that people get with it is they just have this big list of writing and all these notes, and you're never going to be able to implement all this because you're not going to come back to it. I think you definitely want to shorten down what you've learned and maybe put it into bullet points, or condense it down so that you remember to work on it in friendlies, which I'm going to be going over later. And yeah, you don't just have to watch VODs as well. You can just think about your play after after you've played someone, or at home or whatever. Just think about what you were missing during your games, what you were getting hit by, and stuff like that. Just thinking through situations. Cause that's one of the most effective ways to improve, is seeing where you're getting hit and figuring out that situation. One thing I do after some of my tournament matches is I'll write down why I think I was losing, why I think I was winning, what I need to do for next set, versus Prophet the weekend. As soon as I got off the setup, I wrote down what situations I thought I was losing and what I need to work on, and I think that really helps to just get a quick fix to some things, which is actually extremely rewarding. Seeing yourself go from getting hit by something to winning that situation, it feels really good. Another thing would be people don't focus on their solo practice enough. In fact, I'm guilty of this as well. A few months ago, I stopped solo practicing. I was oh yeah, all my execution's perfect. I don't need to practice my punish game. I just need to watch more VODs. And it's just no, you can pretty much always be working on your execution. And a lot of people, they don't practice the right stuff. They'll be practicing this one platform movement they do, or like practicing multi-shines, or practicing stuff that doesn't have a big impact on the match. Whereas like if you're practicing stuff like grabbing ledge as quickly as possible, or ledge dashing, or I don't know, moving around the platforms as quickly as possible, like in sequences that you need to do in your combos. Like when I was playing Falco, I'd work on like wave shining to side, then top, then moving across and stuff like that. And these are the things that like come up in match the most. So if you practice them, then you'll see the biggest improvement in the shortest time, I think. And also, people don't like practicing things that they see as like lame or boring to practice, like ledge dashing, shield dropping, even like weird stuff like turn around up tilts and stuff like that. They just won't practice because they're like, oh, it's boring, and then they'll miss it in game, and they'll be like, oh, I always hit this, and it's like, no, you need to actually sit down and practice it. Like you can't complain about missing stuff if you don't practice it enough. Honestly, I don't think, like, if you haven't put the time in, I don't think you deserve to get salty or like get annoyed at yourself for it. And I think you've practiced enough. For me, like when people ask like how much do you practice, I say that I practice until I can just pick up a controller and do it. Like I don't need any warm up. I can just turn on my setup, just go to any any friendly, any setup, any TV, and just do what I want to do. And like it's really important because a lot of the time you're not going to be comfortable. Like if you think, say you go to Evo or whatever, it's a 2 out of 3, you're cramped for space, you haven't had time to warm up. Like you need to be able to do stuff instantly, and like that's the only way you can kind of replicate it in my mind, is being able to just do it instantly without any like prior warning or like warm up or anything. And finally, the final bit's going to be improving in friendlies and with others. So I think a lot of the problems people have in friendlies is that they don't have a goal for what they want to achieve in their friendlies. So like some people just try to win in friendlies, or like they just play to have fun or whatever. I mean, yes, you can still have fun, but if you want to improve, you need to have an actual goal. And to get your goal, that's where you need the solo analysis. You need I've watched my matches, I've watched top players, and now I know what I want to implement. Because if you just don't have a goal, then you're just wasting time, honestly. Like anytime I play friendlies now and I don't have a goal, it just feels wasted. Like I could be improving, I could be trying out stuff. And like I've even, like on my stream, I think it was like 3 days ago, I literally just stopped playing because I was like, I'm just autopiloting. There's no point in me playing if I'm just gonna autopilot play, because I could be working on something, getting better, preparing. So I think you definitely want a goal when you're playing friendlies. And also like when you are playing, you can just write stuff down. Like if you're on a rotation, say, like you can just write stuff down in between, like that one game when you're off, or those 2 games where you're off, and just think about like what you want to work on, stuff to work on in solo practice, stuff to look at that top players do. I think a lot of people don't use their time effectively. I think that's like the number one thing that gets people, is they don't use their time effectively, and then they don't see much improvement, and they're like, oh, but I spent so long playing, or like I spent 6 hours solo practicing multi-shines, and it's just like, or like even, oh, I spent 6 hours practicing this one combo. It's like, okay, well, you're not just gonna do one combo the whole tournament, right? You're gonna be doing different combos, different percents, different characters. There's lots of variables. You can't just practice 1 or 2 things and be like, yep, that's my solo practice. You need to be working on specific stuff that like you drop, or like you're not as confident on. Another thing is like people, there was like a vlog series from X1 a while ago, like a couple of years ago, about like of this nature, like how to improve, like what you should be doing at tournaments. And one of the like hidden messages from that was like asking questions a lot of the time is something that people just don't do enough. Like when I play people at tournaments, I rarely get asked anything, and it's like you've got such a good resource, not to like toot my own horn, but like you've got people who know the character that they're playing, so you can ask them and see what you can figure out situations really quickly if you just talk to people. Like if you've watched my stream, when Aiken comes around, like I ask him a lot of the time, like, what do you think I should do here? How do you think I should try and win this situation? And like he's been playing me lots too, so he has a lot of insight. Just because he's a worse player in quotation marks, like it doesn't mean his what he has to say doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you've always got like a better view of the situation or whatever. Like the different perspective can be really helpful, especially if you don't know the other character's options enough. Like if I play a Pika or something, then like I'm gonna really ask like what do I do here, because you know you don't get that opportunity much to talk to people who play those like less common characters. So yeah, I think that's the main things I've come up with so far. Like I said, the number one thing is people not using their time effectively, honestly. Like, you may think you're using it effectively, but the chances are you're probably not. Like, you can be working on stuff pretty much all the time. Like, you can be thinking about situations when you're doing menial stuff, like, I don't know, waiting for the cat. Like, I'll be downstairs waiting for the kettles to boil or something, and I'll be thinking through a situation I had in a tournament set. Or, like, I'll be on the rotation, instead of checking Twitter or Reddit, I'll be thinking about, like, what was I practicing effectively during that friendly? What do I want to work on next? You know, trying to think of new things to practice and stuff to look at later. And like, yeah, my solo practice is always like, I've got specific things I want to work on. I've got specific like save states, you know, practicing certain combos, you know, ledge dashing, shield drops, all the stuff is like useful. You want to have useful things to practice and you want to use your time effectively. I think are the two main messages from this video. So I hope that helps people. Thanks for watching, and I do have I'm at 17 subs I think at the moment, so at 20 I do want to either do another video or like do something else. So if you have any recommendations for that, please please leave a comment or like come in my stream and tell me, or you can message me on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. So yeah, that's about it guys, thanks for watching.